Update. It feels like absolutely ages away, but that is the deadline, hot off the press from Dharmesh. OK, Liverpool are our next focus for us. Now, Jeremy Frimpong got injured last night. Where are we with Liverpool? Are they expected to dip their toe back in the market to cover that?
It doesn't look like they will, which will disappoint Liverpool fans, because I think Liverpool fans are looking for some defensive reinforcements. But we understand that things aren't necessarily going to change after what happened with Jeremy Frimpong yesterday. It looks like he's going to miss the game this weekend against Newcastle. But the club in general, under this ownership group, don't want to make reactive moves in this transfer market. They'd rather stick with a long-term plan, and their long-term plan remains unchanged, because you don't want to be in a situation whereby you're signing another right-back and then you start next season with Conor Bradley, Jeremy Frimpong and another right-back fit. So unless there is somebody they're looking at for the future who becomes available in this window, it doesn't look like they're going to do anything. They'll remain alert if any of those long-term targets do become available in the final 4 days of this window. But I think they're readily happy with the options they have to replace those two defenders who I mentioned, Frimpong and Conor Bradley as well, because Joe Gomez can play there when he's fit. We've seen Dominic Szoboszlai, he can play anywhere on the pitch for Liverpool. He's been their player of the season so far. So there are options there. Curtis Jones could play there as well. So I think it's disappointing news for Liverpool fans listening to us today on Sky Sports News, but it looks unlikely they're going to do any business in this winter window.
Where are we at with Andy Robertson? Looked like he was cast iron set for Tottenham.
At the moment, he's not going anywhere. He started the game for Liverpool in the Champions League last night against Qarabağ. He came on against Bournemouth in the Premier League on Saturday. I just wonder, with 4 days to go, whether there is the possibility of a late twist in this one, though, simply because his contract, we know, is up in the summer. It looked very close to him moving to Tottenham Hotspur. We heard that, in principle, personal terms might have been agreed. There was a closer agreement between the two clubs. However, when Arne Slot was asked the question before that Qarabağ game on match day -1 on Tuesday, he was asked definitively, will he be here beyond the end of this transfer window? He didn't commit to that. All he would say is he expects Andy Robertson to be at the club beyond the end of this transfer window. Now, I think another key to this is going to be who Liverpool potentially could bring in if Andy Robertson was to go, because that is going to be key. James alluded to it there. They're unlikely to bring anyone in, but, you know, some of the defensive injuries they're a breaking point just now. So they will probably need someone like Andrew Robertson for the rest of the season. However, they do have a left-back who's currently on loan at Roma, Kostas Tsimikas. Now, he's only started 4 Serie A games so far this season. I put it to Gianluca Di Marzio, would Roma, for our Sky Italy reporter, would Roma be prepared to allow Kostas Tsimikas to come back to Liverpool? So could the loan be broken? And he said he's hardly starting, so ... Intrigue.
I think if I was a Liverpool fan, I'd rather keep Andy Robertson until the end of the season and allow him to go as a free agent. I guess as fans, we don't really care about the money, do we? But you'd think if the option was Andy Robertson, who's played more than 20 games already this season, all recalling Kostas Tsimikas, who became the third choice left back, who hasn't played in the Premier League this season, who hasn't been getting opportunities starting, you'd think, yes, he may have ambitions to play a lot more football this season. He'll probably get a lot of Liverpool this season. I'd be very surprised if he leaves in these final days, unless they can have a resolution where Tsimikas comes back. I think if I was a Liverpool fan, I think if I was on a slot, I'd be wanting to keep Andy Robertson there right now.
I think the key is going to be Tsimikas, and also you've got to look at it from Roma's perspective as well. If they were to let him go, then there's that chain as well. Well, we'll need to bring in another left back. So quite a few things would have to fall into place for it to happen.
All of a sudden, Tsimikas holds the power.
But for the deal to have gone that far, you could safely assume that Andrew Robertson was bang up for going to Tottenham Hotspur. Maybe in those discussions he was told, yep, you're going to be playing probably a lot more football than you would get at Liverpool just now.
Or he could wait and he'll have the pick of wherever he wants to go after a World Cup with Scotland.
Welcome back to Good Morning Transfers. Good time to come back to us because Oscar Bobb's move to Fulham is getting closer, Mark McAdam. What can you tell us?
Yeah, a little bit of breaking news over the last few moments. Oscar Bobb is expected to have his Fulham medical later on today. That's ahead of completing his permanent move from Manchester City. We know the deal is worth £27 million. That was agreed on Wednesday. We also know that Manchester City have a 20% sell-on clause and they have the matching rights should they decide to re-sign Oscar Bob. That's, of course, if he went on to move to another club, if Fulham sell him on. So, yeah, significant breaking news there. He's in London for his medical today, and, of course, we know that down that right-hand side was somewhere that Marco Silva was looking to strengthen. There are doubts over Harry Wilson's long-term future at the football club. So to just sign a player of his calibre, quality and experience, he's a Premier League winner as well at Manchester City. So bring that little bit of gold dust, you know, when you've got that medal round your neck and you've got that experience of being in a squad to get over the line, that could be crucial for that Fulham side. So, yeah, big breaking news with regards to Fulham getting close to a £27 million signing today.
Yep. Now, could Liverpool enter the market in the final few days of the window following that injury to Jeremy Frimpong last night? Frimpong went off early in the 6-0 win in the Champions League over Qarabag, and Slot was asked if they need more defensive reinforcements.
It always depends on are there players available that we think can help us, and if they are, can we afford them? And does this also be helpful for the longer term future, because our players come back from injury as well. We have to do the smart things for the near future, but also for the longer future. And let's first see how Jeremy is. Maybe he's not able to play Saturday, but maybe he's able to play 1 or 2 days later.
So, defensively, they are looking pretty bleak at the back, aren't they, Liverpool, at the moment? They currently do not have a fit right-back that's played a Premier League game. Mark, do you think, Mark Pugh, that they need to sign a right-back in these final few days? I'm going to reiterate, you know, Jamie Carragher, bleeds Liverpool, said that if it looks at some stage like top 5 is in danger, that's when he thinks the button will be pressed on Arne Slot. He needs all the help he can get defensively now, doesn't he?
Massively. I mean, you look at it, Szoboszlai can slot in at right back, but in my opinion, you need one, because if they lose a centre half as well, on that right side, Konate's playing there, then that whole right side, teams are just going to be looking to get at them, and yeah, they need some cover as soon as possible, I think. But in the market we're in, clubs will know that. They'll add another £10–15 million onto the right back's price tag. So, yeah, it's a really tricky situation for him to be in at the moment.
Who's that fella in Madrid with the double-barrelled name? He's not playing much.
Oh, yeah, Alexander-Arnold. He's available, is he?
I mean, look, we're manipulating something here, Mark, but, you know, a little loan deal for Alexander-Arnold, that would, I thought the Liverpool fans would welcome him back, some of them, wouldn't they?
Some of them. He didn't leave in the greatest circumstances, did he? So I'd be surprised if that was a deal that happened.
But they're missing him. Salah's been missing him.
They've absolutely missed his creativity down that right-hand side, and that partnership with Mo Salah was a huge part of the success that Liverpool have had over the last few years. And of course, he was solid defensively, but what he brought to that team from his passing range is really missed. Curtis Jones could also play at right back as well as Dominic Szoboszlai, so they do have other options, but when you're putting square pegs in round holes, it never really works out. So they definitely need to look at doing something. I hate to say it to Liverpool fans that are watching this morning, I don't think they will. Liverpool are never really one of the sides that are just reactive in a transfer market. They like to have clear, structured, planned windows where they know exactly what they're going to do. If, for example, one of the right backs that they've been looking at maybe for the summer becomes available now for the right price, and they sense it's a market opportunity, maybe then they'll look to do something. But Mark's hit the nail on the head. You know, the price tag will go up because it's Liverpool Football Club, they're a Premier League side, and everyone knows that they're desperate for that position.
Yeah, and it's tricky really as well, isn't it? Because you put Szoboszlai or Jones at right back, you're losing so much quality in midfield, and you know, you've a massive hole to fill there. I know you've got McAllister and one or two others, but I think Szoboszlai, he's chipped in with goals, he's been brilliant this season.
And understandably, the Liverpool fans will be going, Mark Gahey, you know, missed the opportunity in the summer. They could have got that done potentially earlier in that window. They've missed out to Manchester City. Some of the Liverpool fans would have said, let's go and get Antoine Semenyo as well. That ship has sailed. Who do you think, Mark, that they need more, a right back or a centre back now, given the Konate situation that he's out of contract as well?
Yeah, I'd say a right back, to be honest, because it's a massive part of the game. You know, full-backs are up and down all game. You know, they can chip in with assist goals. Your full-backs now are inverted. They play midfield. I think that's Slot likes to do that. But like you mentioned, Alexander-Arnold, if they can get him back, I think he'd be an unbelievable signing.
And what about Andy Robertson? What are we expecting with him, Mark, in this window? Tottenham fans, a lot of them would like to see him, not just for his skills on the pitch, but those leadership skills that he brings as well.
Yeah, Tottenham would be desperate for a player like Andy Robertson. You could see exactly why, because of what he would bring to the side. But of course, what they'd gain, Liverpool would lose. And it reminds me of when Jordan Henderson left Liverpool, actually. And I don't think a lot of people at Liverpool realise just how important he was as a voice in that dressing room. He was someone that's voice really carried around the football club, and he was the model professional. And I think Andy Robertson goes into that bracket as well. You know, he's a top professional. He absolutely knows everything about that football club and what it takes to win and get the business done. He actually started in the Champions League last night. He started more Champions League games for Liverpool than he has in the Premier League. Just 4 Premier League starts. Milos Kerkez has been preferred there. Maybe could he play a right back? You know, we know he's a left back, but that full-back role is the same, just on the opposite side. So maybe that could be potentially an option for Arne Slot. But that's all gone quiet. I wouldn't be surprised if that rears its head once again between now and Monday's 7 p.m. deadline. The deal was around £5 million, which is pennies for a player of his calibre and quality. We know that Thomas Frank really likes Andy Robertson. Liverpool reluctant to sell. He has just 6 months left on his contract. But anything that happens really will be driven by him. If he says to Liverpool, look, this is my time, I need to go, they respect him enough to say, OK, we'll allow you to leave because that's what you want, as much as they, right now, desperately need to keep him.
A really interesting